Fuck.
Dog. What is that? She goes over there and lies down. Oh. Actually, what she really would like to do is I finally go for a walk down the driveway. That's what she really wants. She's thinking. She's like, come on, I'm waiting for you. Okay, I'll just lie here and wait for you. While you decide what you're going to do.
Well, hey everybody, we're just waiting a few minutes till we have some joiners, give them a little extra time, and you know, we're looking at that cute little dog laying there waiting to be taken for a walk.
Just rolling around. Aw.
What's your name again?
Sienna.
Sienna.
Okay.
And it ended up being just a perfect.
Oh my goodness, look at her. Hi.
Such a good girl.
The star of the show.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Sienna's gonna be our joiner.
Yeah.
I think we're good to go.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna get started. Welcome everyone. I'm super excited because tonight we are visiting Valerie Wiebe, artist and a woman of many talents. Tonight we're just gonna focus mostly on her painting, but first of all, we're gonna just have a little walk through her yard because I think it has a lot to do with what you do and who you are.
Yeah.
So Val, do you want to explain a little bit about where we are right now?
Well, so our farm is like about 7 miles south of Langham, and this is the farm where my husband grew up. But his father bought it from the original owner, the man who built the house. And the house is actually 100 years old. We had a big party last year to celebrate.
It's birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, this is awesome.
I mean, there's a lot of stories. I don't want to get into it. It'll take a long time to explain. But there's some amazing stories about the legacy of this house. And it was really about relationships. You know, it was really powerful. So the land, I mean, it's obviously super important to my husband. But, I mean, I didn't grow up in the country. But I just fallen in love with this space, and I know the other day I walked out and it's just I actually did a live video because I was just struck by how open it is, and there's just nobody around, and I know that would freak out some people, you know, who wouldn't be comfortable with that, but that landscape with that open space, that's 360. It just does something to how you experience the world and how you live in the world. Yes. And the way that I describe it, it's like two postures. It's this posture of like, oh my goodness, look at this huge sky that I'm living in, right? And it's also this posture of like looking down at everything and going, wow, isn't this amazing? So it makes me feel both very small and vulnerable and insignificant, but at the same time, it makes me feel incredibly loved. That's so interesting. Like that both of those things, and so that is sort of what comes into my paintings. In one way, it's kind of a smack in my face. It's like, come on, Val, you're not the center of the universe. You know, like get real. You know, it isn't just about you. The world is much bigger, right? But
when we have our internal struggles, it feels like that.
It sure does. It's like my problems. That's everything.
And it helps give us perspective to be in such a.
But I've done enough traveling and been in enough planes and looked down on the world that I know that that's not true.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Show me a little bit about the yard.
Yeah. Okay.
I love it.
Yeah. So it's been a exercise in love, really. Just picking away, slowly adding things. Like you see this really nice fire pit with the swings.
I love the swings around.
Yeah, it's so fun. We really enjoy that.
You got an image of this and you told your son to build that.
Yeah, and my son built it for us.
I need a person like that.
Slow down.
Great to have a guy who's a son who's a bit of a carpenter builder. So this part of my garden, well, you called before we started this. You called this a meditation garden. I hadn't actually thought about it calling it that, but that's actually a really good name for it.
It's the meditation garden.
It's the meditation because Nicole just named it. So I created this space because for a couple of reasons. I wanted a real quiet, meditative space, and I've always wanted a labyrinth. And not to be confused with a maze, because a maze is made to confuse you, and a labyrinth is made to focus. It's all about focus.
I'm glad you said that, because I was like, I don't know if I could make my way around in there.
Yeah, there's one path.
One path.
One
I
path
love
to the
that.
center, one path out.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's almost like a mandala or
Yeah,
some kind of...
And it's ancient in terms of like its uses in meditation. So I wanted that, but I also wanted, it's a little more practical, I wanted an area of my garden that I could plant some things that I can't grow in other parts of my yard because it's too open and gets too cold. So like I have hydrangeas in here and hostas, and those are things that I generally haven't been able to grow in other parts of my yard. They're happy in here.
And
so,
I saw this earlier.
Yeah.
I love the wildness of the willow. That's just, it's like contained wildness, because it looks so well made and well crafted.
Yeah.
And yet the willow, it's just beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. So.
And then, can I take a tiny walk?
Yeah, please.
I won't make it all the way around.
No. Unfortunately, I made my paths a little on the narrow side, but you know what I like about it now? I like it that you have to actually place one foot in front of the other.
do.
It's a very conscious way of walking it, and it helps me focus my mind.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So is this something you might do before your day gets started? Just
Sometimes,
to kind of...
or if I'm feeling really scattered,
Right.
you know.
Kind of gets you in a good headspace.
Yeah, I have a really busy brain, really busy, and I always have. And sometimes it just gets to be too much.
Yeah.
Like there's just too much going on, and I got.
Tell me about the tree in the center here.
Well, I did hum and haw about what to put in the center, and then I decided, I want to put a tree there because it reminds me that we need to choose life. Like if you think of the story of Genesis, and you've got those two trees, the tree of good and evil and the tree of life, and we chose the tree of good and evil because we want to know. We think that's the solution to our problems, right? If I can understand, but we actually tree. That tree is about us and them, that good and bad, all those polar opposites, and it causes friction and right, because now you have two sides, right, opposing each other. But when we choose life,
it allows for everything in between.
Exactly.
Right? It keeps the richness.
Yeah, it's the better choice.
Awesome.
So I'm like, choose life.
I like it. Let's head towards the house.
Yes, alrighty.
I'm cheating in the.
Just walk slower.
What's that?
I'm cheating in the.
Just walk a little slower.
Sorry.
So we have a few people watching if you guys want to say hello.
That's awesome. Well, welcome
Isn't
to
it?
my place.
Just so fun to visit someone else's place, and we're keeping our distance just because it's what we've got to do.
So Val's exhibit was supposed to be at the station.
That's right. And when we shut our doors because of COVID, we had to put Val's Big Earth series on hold. And so we thought, what a perfect thing to do. Let's get to know Val and where her work comes from, and what's her inspiration, her passion, and where she works, so that when we are able to see your show in real on the walls, it'll be such a more deep and rich understanding of what it is you do.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, so this is a beautiful, beautiful house, and it's old and it has many stories.
Yeah. There's an alarm on my phone.
Oh, and there's a little cat.
What's that? Oh, my cat. Oh, my cat is there. Those cats weren't able to come outside until this year because I had a dog that hated cats. And he would kill it. He wanted to kill them in the worst way.
Oh my
But
God.
unfortunately, it was very sad. He died last year.
Aw.
And so now they are very
They've got a
happy.
newfound freedom.
Their world has gotten bigger.
Aw. So we're just gonna go up on the veranda here.
My phone is ringing.
That's okay. I'm just loving all of these.
I know it smells so wonderful out
Because
here.
these are
It's just like an oasis.
Is that right?
Oh,
Oh, darn it.
Spirea. Spirea.
I was gonna make a really good pun, but
I
I'll
do
just
have.
You can
those.
still make the
These are-
pun.
These are spireas, and they're just starting to bloom. And you know what? They bloom. The whole thing is white. It's just glorious.
I love it.
When they bloom, the whole. You know. I mean, yeah.
Aw.
It's beautiful.
So maybe just for everybody joining in now, if you want to just,
Remind you of where we are. We
Yeah.
are at artist Val Wiebe's place, her house on a grain farm. We're near Langham. We're on Treaty 6 territory, and we're really excited to visit Val to learn a bit more about her artistic process, where she gets her ideas, and how she makes her work, and the work that we're going to see in the station in the future.
Yeah.
To-
We are. We
to
are.
be, decided on that. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have a bunch of Val's work out here, and I hope you can kind of see it as we go. And Val, we pulled some of these out. These are a part of the Big Earth series show,
Yeah,
correct?
they are. Yeah.
Okay, and do you want to tell me a little bit about this one, and maybe
Okay.
I'll ask some questions
You,
as we
you know,
go.
that's actually a really good one to start with.
Okay.
Because that one, okay, I'll come over here.
Yeah.
This one is called Firecracker. Okay. That's the fire. I don't know if you can see if she wants to come a little closer. That's the firecrackers in the border. And the border of this one is actually wood burning with an acrylic stain.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And well, first of all, it's a really neat play off of what you do in your borders as to what's in there.
Yeah, it's like a conversation between the two.
Yeah.
But the reason that this is a good one to start with is because this is a painting. Okay, I'll have to start it this way. When I was a child, I was very busy. I was a very busy child. Not naughty, just busy. Like, go, go, go. And my parents called me Dynamite. And they said to me, I mean, laugh about it, but it wasn't actually funny at the time.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. It's okay. Now I can laugh about it because I've made peace with it. I've come to understand it.
Right.
And actually, my paintings help me do that. They help me process my stuff.
Yes.
Right? So they called me that, and they also said to me, Valerie, don't be so expressive.
Oh.
Ooh. So how do you, like, when you are expressive, when that is like the root of who you are as a person, a creative person, to have someone say to you, especially your parents, say, well, if I wish you just be a little bit less like yourself, and that would be really good.
Right.
So I spent a lot of my life thinking that I wasn't good enough. I wasn't enough. Who I am, just being happy with myself, the busy, creative firecracker that I am.
Yes.
And being able to accept that. So this painting was like me saying, that's it, I'm done with that nonsense. I am good enough. I am a firecracker, and I'm gonna own it.
Right. Awesome.
That's who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I say, when I talk about this painting, I say, and if you are quiet, calm, whatever, then own that.
Right.
Whoever you are, own it. Yeah.
Do you feel like your color choices are a big part of what's coming through?
Oh yeah, totally. Totally. I mean, I did actually work a bit from a reference photo. This is actually Sask Landing.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, you come down that hill towards
Yeah.
Swift Current, Sask Landing, and then there's those hills and stuff, and it was a fall scene or whatever. But there's my little person.
Oh, yes.
Do you want me to tell you about the little people?
Tell me about the little people, because they show up in all of that.
Well, not all.
Or
most of them.
Lots
Lots of them. And the reason I put them in there, when I first started, I did a sort of another little mini series for Mennonite for their assembly, and I had done this, and it did this. When I did it, I put that little person in there, and it was like this visceral feeling in my body. It just went boom, like that, and I was like, oh, that's what that is. Because remember I talked before about these two postures of like this and this, and that's how that makes me feel, because it reminds me about how small we really are within this landscape. And yeah.
I also like, as a viewer who maybe wouldn't have had the chance to have this talk, that I would have to come up really close. Like, I can get a sense of the vastness of the landscape, but I'd have to come up really close to see that detail and identify what it is, but also to notice the play that's happening.
And that's that interplay of this and this.
Yes.
That's really fascinating for me.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, can I pick another painting?
Absolutely.
I'm going to hold it up.
Yeah, please do.
Okay. We've ended up. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about this one.
Well,
what we're looking at.
yeah, I mean, I've started doing some that I don't put the borders around, so I'm doing them a little differently. I still kind of have the border, you know, I kind of superimpose it on top. This one is actually, last year I did a painting for Valentine's Day, and this was the one that I did for this year.
Oh.
So the one that I did last year, it was called I Would Buy You Fields of Flowers. And it was a landscape with all these fields of flowers. And these two ladies came, these sisters came from Saskatchewan, and they wanted to see my work. They came out here, and they were buying a painting for their sister who lives in Calgary for their anniversary. And they were looking through all the art. As soon as they saw that painting, it gives me chills just thinking, they saw I Would Buy You Fields of Flowers. They were like, duh, that's the one, right? Because it was talking about love, right? So this one is called You Are My Home, because it's exploring this idea that home isn't necessarily a physical place, right? It can be lots of different things. It can be a person. It can be,
There's a lot of
things.
warmth, you know, that I'm feeling looking at it. But an interesting thing that I've noticed once before that's happening in here is I feel like, who am I? Am I a person up in another bedroom window? Like, this almost feels like a drape.
Oh, yeah.
Am I the person looking down at this?
Yeah.
Or am I one of those people?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's got a real interesting play on...
and this one's loosely kind of based on our area around our yard. But, you know, sometimes I use a reference image and I kind of stick closer to an actual location.
Right.
And sometimes it's just something I've created in my head, you know, like a place in my head.
Yeah.
So this one's a bit more of the place in my head.
Yes. I'm always a fan of this perspective too. It reminds you of all of the older painters like Bosch or something like this who would have this, it's like a big story that they're telling and there's a big message.
Yeah.
But that feeling of vastness. I love that. That's very cool. Okay, I'm gonna pick another one. Sorry.
Okay.
If it's okay, can I hold it? Or Josie, you wanna?
I can. Yeah, let's do. Sure, you guys talk about it.
Okay.
And you talk about it.
Well, you know what? This one's interesting. My son, and I'm gonna give him a plug, if I may.
Absolutely.
Okay. My son is Dave Wiebe, but his rapper handle is Just Dave, and he's part of a group. So if you want to look it up on Facebook and Instagram, his Just Dave, and he's part of a rapper group called the Definitive Collective.
Nice.
And so he very creative, like a kind of a spoken word poet, you know, with rhythm and stuff. He wanted a painting for a cover for one of his songs. So this one is in the clouds because he his list of things he needed, because he had seen this image but he didn't take a photograph. And so he was like,
no pressure, Mom.
No pressure, Mom.
Yeah.
So then he went back out to where he had sort of seen what he'd seen, but it was now winter. Right. And then he took a picture and then he made little notes. Now put this here, put this, and he wanted the birds in there, and then and I don't know if you could see the king in the clouds. Can you see this right here? See the profile?
Oh yes.
It's like the profile of the King of Hearts on a playing card.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then the truck, and this is my son and his girlfriend standing and watching the sun going down.
Aw, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, King of the Clouds.
Oh, that's so nice. And a nice story.
Yeah.
So again, I
Kind
feel
of what
like
that one is about.
yeah,
Yeah.
I feel a little bit like I'm the person who gets to spy on all these people's lives. I just have
Yeah,
that
it is a
sense.
bit. It is a bit like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Not like a
So-
voyeur per se, but something kind of like that.
Yeah. It's a little bit like that. So.
I noticed you had a bunch of these tinier ones. Hang on, I was gonna.
Yeah,
Just so I
please
can
just
show
grab
the variety.
anything. Yeah, just
Okay.
grab something there.
And to all the viewers out there, I know you can't see me, but I'm talking. Get your questions ready for Val, because we are going to have a little question and answer period at the end.
Yeah.
So get your
Yeah.
questions ready for her. But we're gonna.
Can you see that?
Yeah, we sure can.
I'm just pointing out what look like fish scales. Or
Maybe a net.
fencing or a net.
A net.
Okay.
Okay, so in this one, I mean, I don't know if those are sheep or rocks. I was thinking a bit of them are sheep. There's a little person here, and there's the boat. So do you know the story in the Gospels after Jesus is raised from the dead? He and the disciples go back to Galilee, and they're very afraid, right? And they decide they're just going to go fishing. So they fish all night, and they catch nothing, right? And in the morning, Jesus comes and he's standing on the shore and he's shouting at them. And I imagine because it's out water that the voice really carries, right? You know how your voice carries over water?
Yes.
So he shouts at him and he says, "Did you catch anything?" And Peter says, "No, we fished all night. We didn't catch anything." So Jesus, they don't recognize him. They don't know that it's Jesus. And they say, so he says to them, he says, "Well, throw your nets on the other side of the boat." And they're like, I think about that story and I think, can you imagine what they were thinking? They're thinking, what the heck? We're fishermen. Don't you think we know what we're doing? But that wasn't what Jesus was trying to do. He was trying to say that sometimes the solution to a problem is a little shift in perspective.
That's very well said.
And so, I mean, for me, that's what that painting is. This painting's called "Throw Your Nets on the Other Side." And it's that reminder that sometimes we think, oh my gosh, I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. How do I fix this? And all we just need to do is stop for a second and just go, if I just shift this just a little bit, all of a sudden everything changes.
It's like then the mist clears.
Yeah, exactly.
The mistiness and it's kind of clear down
and
there.
then it's and then you can see. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, now.
And that is the Sea of Galilee, actually.
Oh.
I worked from a reference about it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it is the Sea of Galilee.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So
I don't just paint.
No. You do a lot of research.
I don't just paint Saskatchewan. I have like this. Can we look at that one? This
Yes.
one right here.
Oh yes, this one back here.
This
Can I-
this one.
This one here?
This one here. I want to show you this one because this one's
Here, I'll come.
yeah. Yeah, we could even, if we set it up here, then you can have a better look. I
Yeah.
want to show this one because my husband and I, March, went to Africa. Now, it was big fields and big sky and big land, you know. I was
Yeah.
just so struck by that.
Is this
So-
a pattern of something that
Well,
you
it just
would
made
have
me,
seen?
it makes me feel of kind of an African design and stuff. It wasn't we went with Mennonite Central Committee. It was a learning tour.
Mhm.
Projects that where they're working, and it was one of the things that I saw there. So, you know, wherever I go, I'm always inspired by what I see. And so I have some, like I've done some, like I was in Toronto, you know, on Center Island, which is kind of, it's about an idea that I'm trying to make a point of something.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited because I just want to peek into Val's studio space. So Josie, good luck on the stairs.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of
I'm
stairs.
excited. We're just gonna put our masks on here.
Okay.
We
and
will.
then we're gonna follow. I think we'll follow you up, Val.
Okay.
And
Yeah, just bear with us into Val's exciting studio. So just don't mind the steps.
well, if you fall, we will know.
Oh, into my house.
All right. Here we go.
Gonna have to just adjust to the light for a sec. Get out the door. Okay.
The smell of your house reminds me of my dear friend's parents' house. just feels like I'm at their house right now.
Is it a bad smell?
No, it's a
like phone. You're just going on data, right?
I think we're back on.
Oh, are you?
Are we there? Can you guys see us? Are we back? I think we're back.
Okay. Yeah.
Hello, are you there, friends?
Give us a thumbs up.
Darcy, can you see the video? Darcy Shapansky is on. And John, oh yeah, I think we're back live.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear my panting?
So we're just walking up into the studio here.
So my studio is kind of like two spaces. This is like one space, and I am also a bit of a crafter, so I do some of that stuff, and the laundry is in. But then I also have that lovely space up there. So
this excites me because you've got ribbons galore all organized, and then drawing things.
Just gonna take a peek.
And rainbow drawers.
Oh my
full of,
goodness.
can I say ephemera?
yeah, exactly. All
Right?
kinds of stuff.
It's
And you know
so-
what? I've been thinking about like all these people who are like during this pandemic are downsizing and cleaning out stuff. And every night I lie in bed, I think, what can I get rid of? I could get rid of that. No, I have to hang on to that. I might need it.
Yeah.
Are we going up?
This is going to come in handy. Okay, Josie, are you going to lead the way?
So we're just going up even further.
Okay.
This is like beautiful.
Val, tell us about who lived in this house a long time ago.
Well, okay. Mr. Olaf, I think was his name. Ole Simonson, a Norwegian man.
Okay.
He built this house. And when he lived here, I found this out from one of his daughters actually that came to visit us. And he used to come up here into the attic. He put a ladder, there was a hole in the floor there into the main hallway downstairs. And he would climb up there, and he'd come up here to have a little quiet so that he could create. And what he did, I'll even show you, he made stencils. And when we renovated, find the right door, sorry. When he renovated, we found these.
Oh, that's so cool.
So these are the stencils that Mr. Simonson made.
Oh my gosh.
And I still have them. And I don't know, maybe someday I'll use them in some kind of art or something.
That's very cool.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah, I just thought that was so cool that this was his creative space and now it's mine.
Yeah. His energy is feeding through. Now, I'm thinking, Josie, if you can go there, you can take a peek at this most recent work. I don't know if that'll work.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm going to duck around to this side.
Would it help if I turn the light on?
Yeah, it would actually. Yes. There we go. Yeah.
So this one you said is a very recent, or
yeah,
not?
well,
Are they more?
No, I did this one last year in 2019. I did. But I really like it because it's called Hydrangea Sky. Because I did a study, excuse me, kind of more like these ones here.
Oh yeah.
This size. And I did this study of just this sort of swirling cloud kind of things. I was like, oh, that's like hydrangeas, And so then I created this. So this painting isn't completely out of my head, like it's not an actual space. But I just loved this idea, like here that little figure is so small compared to all of this massiveness, And I just like how it makes me feel inside. It just makes me feel like what we talked about. Yeah. This one is this posture.
Yeah.
It's like this, right?
Yes.
Because that's like wonder, awe, at this.
Yeah.
It's just so beautiful. Like I don't know, it just speaks to me. I really, really like it.
And while there's lots of movement in it, it's still very calming.
There's a stillness
yes,
there as well.
Yeah, it's almost like the air outside tonight. There's no wind, but there's movement around, and there's light reflecting off of different things.
Yeah.
And I like how that comes into this
border.
Which is like a relief.
It's a relief. I use stencils and I use a texture paste. Well, and you can't you can see it sort of in some places. I actually put a whole bunch of different colors behind this, and then I layer colors over top, you know,
Yeah.
to kind of.
But this stuff kind of comes forward and it gives you a sense that you're looking through like almost like a screen to things that are deep in space behind it, which is really
and this is like a little hydrangea flower right here. Like these are like little hydrangea flowers.
Oh,
yeah. And I'm you know, the other thing is the borders. It's my chance to experiment with other kinds of techniques and try different stuff, and I'm just obsessed with pattern.
Right on.
I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed.
It shows.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I actually had several people tell me that I didn't need the borders, and so I have done some now paintings without them, but I also have so many people that love the borders.
And that's just such a part of your
and
artwork.
It's a unique thing. It's my shtick, right? It's the thing that I'm doing, like, you know.
Right,
so.
and you don't see it very often. And,
No.
and it's not that the painting on the inside can't function on its own.
Oh.
It's almost like a double.
I mean, it can totally function. It totally function on its own. I'm just going to show you this one so that you can see. This is this painting, but this is a print.
I'm going to hold it here.
Oh, okay. You're going to hold it?
Yeah,
Okay.
So
This is a print that I've mounted on wood, but it gives you, I know that the central image can stand on its own. I know that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But for me, that's not what it's really about.
No.
Yeah. So.
Beautiful.
But if people are interested, anything you've seen tonight, I do them as prints. I can do them almost any size. I can mount them on wood or sell them as just on paper. You know, there's lots of options.
And do they get in touch with you through your website? Is that the best way?
You can do it on my website. Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
That's probably the best way to get a hold of me.
Awesome.
All my contact info and pretty much everything that we saw tonight is on. I have some new stuff that I haven't had photographed yet, so it isn't up there. But
Great.
yeah.
Josie, I think we're kind of close to. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, maybe we could just head back outside, and if you.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
and anybody who's watching, if you have a question for Val or Nicole, just comment, drop it in the comments. We're just making our way outside, and we'll answer your questions when we get outside.
I wanted to just show you this one. This is kind of something new for me because I don't know if you noticed, pretty much all those paintings out there are square. And there's something about squares that are really calm. It's a calm shape. It's a very still shape, and I liked that. But now during this COVID thing, I don't know, I just wanted to do this size and this shape. So I started, and almost all of them are sunsets.
Wow.
But this one was like last week, right out here. I had been sitting in the TV room. I came out to the front entrance, and the whole sky was this color. Like, it wasn't, like, there weren't a lot of clouds, you know, like, in variations. It was just this explosion of pink on the sky. And then this is the slough that's over there. So we were standing on, there's a little deck over there. Then we were standing there, and I took that photograph, and yeah. So
Love it.
I don't know. I just love it.
I am in love with the tiny patterns, and they are like three-dimensional. They pop out.
These ones are. Yeah, they're three-dimensional. Yeah.
Okay, I'm keeping on.
You okay?
Getting us slowly down.
I'll just let you guys go ahead because I think this is like a little bit of a dead zone, and then I'll.
We'll meet you on the veranda.
I didn't want to. I will wipe the door handle after, so just. All right. So we're back now. I think we're all good. Are we still there, everybody? I think we're still there. I think we're good.
Yeah, let us know what some of the, if you have any questions we have a little bit of time now that you can ask specifically to Val.
Yeah.
Just waiting to see.
And if there aren't,
That's okay.
Yeah, if you have a question, you go ahead. I think our viewers are being shy. No questions yet.
I'm going to ask you a couple of technical questions.
Okay.
So you're painting in acrylics.
Yes.
Have you always worked in acrylics?
No, I actually worked in oils.
Okay.
Painted a long time ago, like from high school and stuff.
Yeah.
But I really like acrylics because I'm super impatient, and oils take way too long to dry.
Yeah.
And acrylics just give me more versatility, and I can make them dry faster. I actually use fluid acrylics.
Okay.
So because you notice I paint on wood, right? I don't paint on canvas because I don't like the bounce of a canvas.
This is a solid.
It's a hard surface, and canvas has a texture that I don't like. So if I'm going to add texture, I want to add it.
Yeah.
You know, I want it to be me. I actually have a lot of people, because of the way that I paint, people ask me if these are watercolors because they have that kind of, because I layer a lot.
Yes.
Now I have to explain something about that process, and it has to do with my vision of how my.
Okay.
Because it's a genetic thing in my family. There's quite a few of us. We actually only focus with one eye at a time.
Oh.
So I don't have the same kind of depth perception that other people have, which is really interesting because I'm painting perspective.
Yes.
You know, but what happens is I see the world like in layers, and I don't think other people see the world like this. I see things okay, that's behind, and I see it that way, and I have to understand it that way because everything kind of looks flat to me.
Oh, that is very interesting.
And so I had trained myself to understand that that's in behind because it's further away.
Yes.
It's kind of a technical, like a mental thing that I have to do.
Yeah.
And so that's how I paint. I don't, some people do this, like for example, like the one with the house. They might paint the house and then they would paint the background around it, right? But I don't. I start with a dark canvas, a dark background, and then I paint the sky, and then I paint the land, like and then I put all the details like this.
Moving forward.
Moving to the foreground.
Stacking it.
I stack it.
Oh.
Because that's how I see the world.
Wow.
So I have Denise Epp. She says,
Yeah.
"Hello, Val. Hope to see your full art exhibit in
Yeah.
person very soon.
Nice to see it. Yeah.
Are you doing any printmaking or quilting these days?"
Well, I'm not. Well, I've done a little bit of quilting, but the printmaking. Well, I'm excited. I am taking right now a class in encaustic monoprinting.
Oh my gosh. Tell
Yes.
us.
Yeah,
What
please
does
tell us
mean?
more
What does
about that.
mean? Okay, so if anybody knows what encaustic is basically wax, beeswax, and resin, right? And so what you do is you put that onto a hard surface, and then you carve into it, and then you. This artist is using mulberry paper, basically rice paper, and it's very fine and soft and light. And I'm super excited because it's another thing I can do in my borders.
Oh my gosh. I would love to see some of those studies when they start to appear.
Yeah. So I'm super excited about
really?
that.
So you carve into the
Wax.
waxy
Yeah,
surface
and then you use
roll ink?
then you use oil paint. And you actually, and I think this is a great connection with my husband who's a farmer, canola oil. She used canola oil, and I'm like, yes, canola oil, And so you put that into the oil paint, and then you roll that onto your carved surface, and then you put your mulberry paper, and then if the ink isn't releasing, you actually use more of that canola oil on the paper on the outside to help the ink pull up onto. It's so interesting.
So does the paper then kind of look clearish, like from the
Well, the oil actually will eventually evaporate.
Oh.
It will, but actually, what you can do then is not on that one because it doesn't have a border, but this one, like you could where this wood burning is, you could put the strips of paper in here and kind of put other stuff, even even the encaustic stuff over top, right, to protect it, you know, and then the mulberry paper, actually, because it's so light, it almost dissolves, and you're just left with this pattern. I'm so excited.
That's excellent.
Yeah, so you never know what you might see.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so I'm super excited about that. Yeah. And I have been, you know, I've been mucking around with printing a little bit, always, because I love it. It was my minor at university
Was printmaking. Oh.
Yeah, I love printmaking.
And then do you work at a studio space at the university or something
Yeah,
like that?
when I was working there. I mean, when I was taking the class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But some forms of printmaking are hard, right? You need a printing press, you need, you know, good ventilation, and so I haven't been able to do it. So I'm really excited about finding things that are simpler, you know, that you can just do by hand. I don't need a press. And my sister and I are going to Ness Creek Forest Art this summer, and we're going to take an eco printing class.
I read about
Oh,
that. Super excited
that
about
will be
that.
fantastic.
And I hear my studio assistant was telling me, she said, "Oh, you're going to love it there. It's awesome."
So I've heard.
So I'm super excited. They're only offering 2 classes this summer, and one of them is this eco printing class. So I'm so excited about that.
Awesome. Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm sad that we're kind of running out of time. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to thank Val
Yeah.
Wiebe for taking us on a tour and sharing so much about your life. Okay.
I'm going to have a live online show. It's going to be called Art in the Garden.
Perfect.
Right here. And my own art, and a couple of other artists are going to join me as well.
That sounds excellent.
Yeah.
And we're going to have Val's exhibit, the Big Earth series, at the station. We will announce it when that time comes. Things keep changing a little bit, but we're flexible and we're working it out. Thanks to all our supporters.
Thank you so much.
And have a great night, everybody. Get painting.